Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel all about BI. In previous video what we saw is we had to simulate a sensor data which is a telemetry data of temperature and humidity. This sensor data that we simulated will get into IoT Hub. From IoT Hub we used Stream Analytics job to push the data to ADLS Gen 2 file. Okay, this is what we saw in the last video. In this video we are just going to see similar stuff, but the endpoint is going to be a SQL table. It's not going to be ADLS Gen 2 file. Okay, so the input is going to be IoT Hub and the output is going to be SQL table, and in between we'll have to write a query simply to select data from IoT and push it to SQL. Okay, let me show you how do we do that in the portal, right? So if you see here, this is going to be my Azure SQL server name and this is going to be the DB name. Inside this DB, we hardly have any tables here. Okay, so in Azure portal itself, under Stream Analytics job itself, I will tell you how do we create a table automatically. So going back here and then I'll go to Stream Analytics job and then we can create a, I already created a table. I already created a Stream Analytics job, which I will delete now. Okay, because we don't need multiple jobs. So it will delete it. So how to create another job now? So I'll click on create and then I'll just tell a name to it. I'll call it stream to DB. Okay, and then I'll say review and create. This is going to create a job for me under Stream Analytics service. So after a job is created, it's very simple for us. We'll have to create an input connection. We'll have to create an output connection. In between, we'll have to write a simple query. It also will be generated automatically. We'll just have to validate it. Okay, it's that simple. So going to resource and then I'm coming to input. As I told you, the input is going to be from IoT Hub, right? And the output is going to be the SQL table. So I'll click on add input and I'll choose IoT Hub, IoT input data. I'll call it IoT input data and leave the rest as such. And if you are someone who watched this video and haven't watched my earlier video, I request you to watch that because there we have clearly mentioned how are we simulating the sensor data using Python code and how are we pushing it to IoT hub. How do we actually create a hub? How do we actually create an IoT device and then link that device in the Python code that we have to generate data and share data with IoT hub. Everything we have discussed in detail in the last video. I'll be providing you the link in the description also. So I request you to kindly watch there so that we do not miss certain configuration details. Okay. So input is added and then I'll go to output. I'll click on output, add output. Output is going to be SQL database and I will call it output IoT SQL. Okay. And then I'll choose my database name and then I will choose a table name that we are going to create. It is not yet created. This step will not create a table for you. It is just a placeholder. We will say something like IoT data. Okay, this is a placeholder table name. We will create the actual table in some seconds. Okay, so I'm just I'm declaring the table name and then I'll mention the username and password and then I'll click on save. So this will complete the setup for input connection and output connection. Okay, table is not created, don't worry about it, we'll come to that. And in between input and output we have something called query. Okay, so if you go to query, there will be a query automatically prepared for you based on the input name and output name that you have declared in the job. Okay, so just validate that input name is input IoT input data. If this is correct, and output name is output output IoT SQL. Oh, both are correct. So we need not change the select query. If you want to filter out certain details, right, you can go ahead with the where clause. Okay. So in my case, I'm not going to do all that. So the first input preview will be sample data that gets shown while you test the connectivity. Okay. Test the query. Okay. And then test results tab will show the output whenever you are clicking the test query. right? SQL table schema, till now we don't have any SQL table created for this purpose. So it will not show you any schema now. It will just tell an error. Table IoT data does not exist currently. And you can test your query. And after you test your query, you will be seeing a schema under schema tab. Okay, so what does it mean? We will go to test query option and we'll click it. There is no data from input. So we will start generating some data now. I ran the Python code and then we will go to input preview. We will refresh it. It will start receiving data from the command prompt, and once we have data in the input preview tab, we can use the test query. We will refresh it again and then we can go to test result. Selected output not referenced in the query. Output IoT SQL, output IoT SQL, and IoT, everything is correct. It might take some time to actually work because I deleted a earlier job, right, in which I might have used the same or a different output name. Okay, that is why it is not able to take it. So I'll take some time to refresh it, and then see here, if I click on tester, it is saying there is no input data from input IoT. We don't have any input IoT at all. Because of the previous job that I created with an input name called input IoT, it is still referring the same. So what shall I do is I can just start a job and then I'll refresh it. This input IoT and output SQL, these are all old jobs. That is why it is still being referenced in the code. So I'll just see if there is some option to delete it. I'll just pause this video for a while. So I'll just get rid of these old input IoT and output SQL, and then I'll just come back. Okay. All right. So what I did, I just refreshed this portal. Okay. I just went back here and then I clicked on it again. Basically, a refresh was required. So again, I came to query. Under query, if you see, there is only one input now. Okay. So it wasn't just refreshing. So just going back and coming again, it resolved the issue. So I'll just click on start job and then I will go to test query. This test query option, when what it said earlier when we clicked on SQL table schema tab, there is no such table, right? But this time it will not tell that error. Instead, it will tell us, it will give us a schema to create actually based on the input data that is received from the command prompt. So what is happening right now? I'm just refreshing. So from command prompt, you are sending data. It is reviewed. It is received in the input preview. And whenever we clicked on test query, it is able to read the schema. And then using that schema, it is going to help us with the table creation option. Okay. So we can click on this script and manually create the table, or we will click on create table option itself. So this will be creating a table for us. And then the job is already running and table is successfully created. So if I go and refresh here, I can see the table, but will the data get hit here? I'm not sure. It might take some time, probably 20 to 30 seconds. Till now, the data hasn't gotten it to the table. So let us wait for some time. We need not do anything specially or specifically. Okay, it's going to automatically start pushing. Let's give 5 to 10 seconds to it, right? So see here, now the data is there. So basically what we learned from today's session is whenever you have a old job running and you're going to create it again from the scratch, make sure to refresh the portal and then start creating it again. Okay, that was a learning. So apart from that, the whole process is very simple. For us to generate data and then for us to push it to SQL table, it doesn't take more than 5 minutes, I would say. Okay, so I hope this video is helpful for you. For those who wanted to start with Stream Analytics and IoT Hub, this will be a good Kickstarter for you, I believe. Let me know in the comment section how it helped you. Thanks a lot for watching. Keep supporting the channel.